I've also tried to reach out to the NNPC authorities through the spokesperson there, Undu Ugumadu. He did ensure that he did promise us, rather, that he'll be on the show. At some point, he called to cancel that and said that he'll rather do a phone call interview with us. But up till this time, his phones are not going through. So if he can hear us or anyone else can get across to him to give us the situation of the NNPC and their position on this matter, it would be gladly acknowledged and very thankfully so too. But okay, I understand that Mark West still has a couple of questions for you still. Mark West, please.
Well, thank you, Gimba. Just a follow-up. There have been accusations, and I'm sure you just heard Mr. GSA, that there are also attempts to try and increase the price of petrol, and that part of this argument, part of what we're seeing, is an attempt by, the independent marketers and even sometimes DAPMAN to try and, get more from the government. If you notice that there was going to be a gap in the first instance, because of these accusations that have already, because it's not the first time we're seeing that there have been, there's always an attempt at scarcity, and that most times organizations like yours bear the brunt. Why did you not alert Nigerians to the fact that there could be an impending scarcity, considering what you had seen?
We can't alert Nigerians because it means we are creating panic in the polity. We won't do that. We would rather work with NNPC to resolve the issues, which we started doing from the time we noticed the shortfall in their supply schedule. Rather than go on air and tell, you can imagine, even now that the shortfall is prevalent, it has crept on us. Even though NNPC still has 15, 20 days stock, people are already going into panic mode. Ordinarily, people who will not fill their tanks, they fill their tanks now. People who don't really need fuel, they buy in jerry cans, they store at home. We're telling the public, yes, the stock we have is not much, but all marketers, DAPMAN retail outlets, MOMAN retail outlets, we will sell to the public at 145. There should be no panic buying of fuel. We're working with NNPC to ensure that whatever stock they have on the vessels, as they have promised to us, speedy clearance with Navy and so on, once this cargo gets into marketers' tanks, we will dispense. If we can load 40 million liters within 72 hours. And if we have about 3-4 vessels, if we have about 3 or 4 vessels, what you haven't told us is
when this conversation started. When did you notice that there could be an impending gap in supply?
We noticed it weeks ago. We noticed it weeks ago.
Beg your pardon?
I said we noticed it weeks ago. It's a birthing, we call it birthing meeting, where NNPC, with PPA, Nigerian Ports Authority. It's called a birthing meeting with the Nigerian Ports Authority. Every importer of fuel, every importer that brings in product through vessel comes in. You tell NPA what your vessel is bringing, when it is arriving. And it's at that meeting that we noticed that there was no declaration from NNPC. And once there is no declaration from NNPC, and we know, usually in December, the prices that rise, and we can't import at that time, we were alerted, we were alarmed. Interactions with them, they won't tell you that we've not been discussing with them. We've been discussing with them informally and informally.
I don't know if you have heard, I do not know if you have heard the subtle accusations of blackmail from the government agencies. Because if you say that you still have some stock and they also still have close to 30 days stock to supply the nation, why then have we noticed this sudden shock, this sudden scarcity, and this sudden lack of supply at the stations?
The product stock that we have today is very low. We have pro forma invoices paid up 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks with a PPMC that have not been supplied. And because I mean, when they did not declare any vessel, we know we can't get that product. But whether we load in a depot or not, we definitely have to run the facility. So rather than a marketer loading out his whole total stock in one day, he decides to spread it over a couple of days. I can tell you for free, some major marketers are loading from DAPMAN members. They come, they buy our product, and they are loading from us. And we are loading on a daily basis. And I repeat, we are loading, the stock we have, we're loading on a daily basis. But because from the records, maybe now they have it, maybe now the vessels will come in, but at that point, there was a gap. And that gap, there is no, once that gap is there, definitely it will reflect, no matter how small, it will reflect at the petrol station. You know that there are some states now that, I mean, like you saw on the clip, there are some states that are not experiencing scarcity because as at the time this thing